Hi, I'm Heather from Heather Handmade, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a DIY bow headband out of knit fabric. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel for lots of fun sewing projects. So you can see that I'm wearing one right now, and I have made two others. This is a great beginner sewing project. You get to practice sewing with knit fabric. It only uses 3 pieces of fabric, so you only need a little bit of fabric to make this. It's a really great and easy gift because lots of people love wearing headbands. They're soft and comfortable. They don't hurt my head or give me a headache like other headbands. In this video, I give the exact measurements for an adult-sized bow headband so that you can make your own. They're really fast and easy to sew, so let's get started. The fabric you will need for this project is a jersey knit. My favorite fabric to work with for beginners is a cotton spandex jersey, which is this one, this pineapple one. It has a good stretch, but it also has a good recovery, meaning it goes back to its original shape. It's less likely to get stretched out, but pretty much any jersey will work, like a rayon jersey or just a cotton jersey. So there's a lot of options and prints and colors that will work well for this bow headband. So we're gonna cut out our pieces for the bow headband. So the first thing you need, the first piece you're gonna cut is a long rectangle that is 4 inches tall and 20 inches wide. So I like to do that on the fold. So I'm going to cut a straight line up here on the top first, so I have a nice straight edge. Then I'm going to cut out my long rectangle. The next rectangle I'm going to cut out is going to be 6 inches tall and 8 inches wide, but it's always nice to start with straight edges. So I'm doing 8 inches wide and 6 inches tall. The last rectangle to cut is 3 inches tall and 2 inches wide. So with this long rectangle, the first thing you do is you are going to fold it in half, but the long ways, and you're going to match up this long edge and pin it together. Then I'm going to sew with a zigzag stitch along this long edge, and I'm going to back stitch when I start and when I stop. Now we're going to take this, the band piece, and we are going to turn it right side out. Now you're going to take this headband piece and you're going to put the seam on the center of one side. So do you see how the seam runs down the center of this? So that is going to be the wrong side. That will be the side that's against your head. And then you're going to take the other side and do right sides together and match up the short ends. And we're going to pin this together. Then we're going to sew this seam with a zigzag stitch, and we're going to back stitch when we start and when we stop. With this rectangle, the middle-sized one, we are going to fold it in half. So this is the longer edge, this is the 8-inch side. We're going to match up the 8-inch sides with right sides together and pin these together. And we're going to sew this seam with a zigzag stitch, and we're going to back stitch when we start and when we stop. Now take this piece and turn it right side out. And we're going to do the same as we did with the band, where we want the seam to be in the center of one side, and then you're going to match the right sides together, so the side that doesn't have the seam. And we're going to pin this short edge together, and we're going to sew this seam with a zigzag stitch, and we're going to back stitch when we start and when we stop. The last piece, this is the tiny rectangle. We're going to match up the 3-inch sides, so the longer sides, we're going to match them up with right sides together and pin these. Then we're going to sew this with a zigzag and back stitch when we start and when we stop. Now take this tiny piece, this tiny tube, and we are going to turn this right side out. Now take the headband and turn it right side out. So you are going to have this seam here on one side, but we're going to cover that up with the bow. Then take this middle-sized piece and turn it right side out. And this also has a seam, but it's going to be covered by the center. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this bow piece, and we're going to take the band piece. We're going to place this bow piece like over. You're going to match up this. The back of the bow has a seam, and then the headband, the band has a seam. So we're going to put these seams together like this, match that up. But then you want to center the bow, you know, up and down. So you want this, the edges of the bow to be lined up. And what we're going to do, I'm not going to pin this, but I'm just going to add a couple of stitches right here through all of these layers to keep this together and in place before we put on the center piece. Now you take your tiny piece, this is the center of the bow, and see how I've lined up the seam here on the center back, just like we did with the other pieces. We're going to do that, and we want to place this right sides together and sew it here, but we are going to do it around the band. It's easier. We're going to move it later, so don't worry about having it in the perfect spot at the moment. You want to have a spot on the band that's the thinnest place so it's easier to sew. So I have this right sides together, and I'm going to just add a little pin, and we're going to zigzag these layers together, and just make sure you backstitch when you start and when you stop. So this piece has been sewn, and now we are going to slide it over here on the bow. So first, turn it right side out like this, and then slide the seam towards the back, because you don't want it to show on your bow. So that's in the right place. And now we're just going to slide it over onto here, and we're going to line it up right here with those stitches we already put. So you have to kind of work with it a little bit since it's a tiny loop and there's a lot of fabric going in, and the edge of the bow is not connected, so you kind of have to work with it a little bit. Once you have it in the middle, that's when you can go through and kind of, you know, adjust your bow, change the pleats however you want it to kind of be gathered together. It really doesn't matter. It's really your preference of how you want your bow to look. Just make sure that you're keeping these seams back here covered. You don't want these to, you know, slide out of the edge. Once you are happy with how your bow looks, you can make lots of bow headbands in lots of fun colors and prints. You can make one for all of your friends and family members, however you want. If you want, you can add a little bit of hand stitching to keep this center in place. I found that as long as I don't wash it, it really doesn't move that much. It's fine as I wear it. If you will need to wash it, if you're using this to work out or something, then I would recommend adding the stitching so that you don't have problems with the bow coming apart. The bow part and the headband will stay together and not move. It's just this centerpiece that might need a little bit of tacking to keep it from moving around. And that's how you make a bow headband. I can't wait to see the bow headbands that you make. Please share them with me on social media, and I hope you have a wonderful day.